Let's dive straight in. Section 4. You be the first to get burned. Alright, let's face it. If you were a witch in the Middle Ages, you'd be the first one to get burned. No joke. Imagine this, you're just trying to do something that seems harmless, like a little pain relief potion or some harmless spell, but BM. Everyone sees you, and they're like, aha. Witch. Yeah, I'm serious. This wasn't some kind of joke. If you thought witches were getting any respect back then, you'd be dead wrong. People were literally just waiting to pull you from the ground and throw you into a fire. Seriously, you would not want to live in the Middle Ages. Not just because of the ugly clothes, let's be honest, the fashion was tragic, but because they were so obsessed with witches that no one was safe. From every corner, you had paranoid villagers talking about witches in fear and trembling. You use some kind of herbal remedy for a headache? Someone sees it, and it's like witchcraft. Then a mob with torches would show up, bang on your door, and drag you out to burn. Hey! Tell me you wouldn't want to be anywhere but there. And let's not even talk about how it sometimes felt like those fires were less about burning witches and more about throwing a party for the crowd. I mean, sure, you might have wanted to be a witch, but you definitely didn't want to be part of that celebration. Personally, I'd have rather taken a couple of minutes to grab a cold drink and enjoy life just a little bit before I was roasted alive, you know? Section 3. Witch hunts, and you didn't even bring a lunch. Alright, let's talk about witch hunts. No, not some video game. I mean, actual witch hunts in the Middle Ages. If you were a witch back then, you'd have to figure out how to dodge these hunts like a pro. 'Cause trust me, they weren't offering you snacks and drinks. No tea, no cake, not even a simple slice of bread and cheese. The only thing they had ready for you the moment they figured out you were a witch: a torch and a big old pile of firewood, ready to burn you at the stake. Now, picture a regular day in the life of a witch back in the day. Oh, it wasn't all magic spells and potions. No, it was dodging mobs and trying not to get set on fire. You step outside your house, and boom, there's your neighbor pointing at you like, aha, witch alert. Just like that. No warning, no. Hey, are you a witch? Nope, just bam, they've already decided. And keep in mind, it didn't take much back then for people to start throwing around the witch label. If you were brewing a potion or using some herbs that seemed different from the usual here's some soup stuff, boom, you were a witch. It's like no chill. The funniest, or should I say, most tragic part? You didn't even have time to pack a lunch before the witch hunt started. You could be minding your own business, maybe trying to pick up a few herbs from the garden, and next thing you know, you're in the middle of a full-on witch hunt. The villagers would be outside your house with torches, banging on your door, shouting, "Witch!" Like, no dude, I'm just trying to make a tea to feel better. It was like being accused of being a witch was the go-to punishment for literally anything. Help a poor person. Witch. Got a black cat? Witch. Talk to the animals? Witch. And oh, don't even get me started on the people who would get you with no evidence whatsoever. If someone caught a glimpse of your weird bird or some animal they didn't recognize, guess what? You were a witch. Oh look, she's got a raven sitting on her window. She must be a witch. And that was it. They didn't even need real proof to turn your life upside down. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more it feels like they were less interested in burning witches and more interested in just throwing a really messed up party. And trust me, this wasn't the kind of party anyone wanted to be invited to. You'd think with all the drama going on, they'd at least offer you a snack or something before they decided to light you on fire. But nope. Nothing. Just an angry mob and a whole lot of fire. Section 2. The Witch Trials. Not exactly a spa day. Alright, let's be real here. If you were ever accused of being a witch back in the day, where would you least want to be? The witch trials. Yeah, this wasn't some spa day on the beach with a nice cold drink. Nope, this was more like an extreme survival test you didn't sign up for. Think of it as Survivor, Medieval Edition, except with way fewer tropical islands and a lot more firewood. Now let me tell you, these trials weren't like the ones we have today. Imagine being dragged into a courtroom today. At least you'd have a lawyer to say, hey, this person is innocent. But back in the day? Nope, no lawyer, no rights. This wasn't a chill affair where you could just sit back and say, hey, I'm just here for a good time, don't mind me. No, this was basically a full-on medieval wrestling match, but with way more fire involved. You're sitting there in the trial, and the whole point is for people to prove you're a witch. And guess what? If they couldn't find evidence, they'd make up some. One of the tests to determine if you were a witch was putting your hand in a pot of boiling water. If you pulled it out and your hand was fine, they were like, okay, you're not a witch. But if you pulled it out and it was burned, BM, they were like, aha. Told you she's a witch, burn her at the stake. No big deal, just a casual day in medieval times. And oh, don't even get me started on the whole trial by water thing. This wasn't like a swim race, okay? It was literally a do or die situation. They'd throw you in water to see if you floated or sank. If you floated, it was because you were a witch, obviously. But if you sank and died? Well, at least you weren't a witch. So either way, you lose. You're basically screwed. In the end, no matter how innocent you were, the whole thing was rigged. If someone thought you were a witch, well, that was enough for the crowd to turn on you. Your only hope was to not be the person they decided needed burning that day. But honestly, this wasn't just a trial. It was basically a medieval public event. And not the kind of public event you'd want to attend. Instead of a nice concert or parade, it was just a bunch of people screaming, throwing accusations, and hoping someone would burn at the stake. Fun, right? Section 1. They thought your cat was evil, so... Oops. Alright, folks, don't be surprised by this one. If you were a witch back in the day, one of the first things people would accuse you of? Your cat. Yes, you heard me right. That little ball of fur you love so much, the one who always lounges next to you or knocks your coffee over in the morning. Yeah, that one. But back then, cats weren't just cute little pets. Oh no, they were seen as, well, let's just say, suspect. So, how did these innocent little creatures become the symbol of evil? Well, it all started with the belief that witches had a special bond with cats. You know what I'm saying? Cats were, like, witches' unofficial sidekicks. Why? Because they were nocturnal and mysterious. They'd dart around at night, sometimes looking like they were plotting world domination or something. And you know, when people didn't really understand what was going on at night, it was easy to jump to the conclusion that, oh yeah, those cats? Definitely up to some dark magic. If you were a witch, and you happened to have a cat, well, you were basically signing up for a life sentence of suspicion. Now, imagine this. You got your cat, and at midnight, it's running around in your backyard, looking like a little shadow in the moonlight. The villagers would peer through their windows and think, oh, that's it. That cat is up to something demonic. And guess who's getting blamed for that? You, the poor witch who just wanted a little companionship from your furry friend. People didn't even care if your cat was just chasing a mouse. Nope, it was an agent of the devil in their eyes. So there you were, trying to live your best life, but your cat was out here ruining everything. Let's take this a step further. If your cat was acting weird, doing something out of the ordinary, like staring at the wall or pacing in a very mysterious way, guess what? People would be like, aha, that's a sign. It's a witch's cat. Yeah, because we all know that cats are totally predictable, right? If you caught your cat doing something funky, there was a 99% chance someone would point the finger at you and say, she's a witch, and that's her evil psychic. And don't even get me started on the worst case scenario. Your cat decides to go out for a midnight adventure. You're just chilling in your living room, probably reading a book or trying to relax, and then a group of angry villagers shows up at your door with torches, yelling that you're a witch, all because your cat had a little wanderlust. Yeah, good times, right? So yeah, moral of the story? If you had a cat in the Middle Ages, you had better be prepared to explain it to everyone and their grandmother. No, I swear, it's just a regular cat. It's not a demon's messenger. But in the end, nobody believed you, and you were probably going to be accused of witchcraft anyway. You know, maybe a dog would have been a safer bet back then. At least no one thought dogs were secretly plotting to take over the world.